Hello, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you have not met me before, I am Laura, and this little guy licking his balls in the background is my dog Louie. I thought I'd come at you today with a full day of eating. I quit competing about 5 years ago, and since then my primary goal was to move away from thinking about food all of the time. But I'm still somebody that cares about how she looks. I work in the fitness industry. Across the last 5 years, my physique has gone from this to this. Back in my competing days, I might have looked at that and gone, she hasn't really built much more muscle, she hasn't really got any leaner. But the big difference between these two pictures is that I train about 3 times per week now. I'm no longer training 6 times per week. I no longer track my food. I no longer take 15 to 20,000 steps per day. And the way I eat is actually quite different. And if you saw my last video, my review of my 2019 what I eat in a day, you'll know what I mean. I thought I would share with you a day of my food. Wednesday, busiest day of the week, client check-in day. I'm pretty much glued to my desk for most of the day, so I don't have much desire to plan, prep, prepare, cook food. So unlike some of these brilliant influencer what I eat in a day videos that look fantastic, I can promise you now some of the things you're gonna see won't be that aesthetic, but they're incredibly practical and realistic. So let's dive straight into it. Starting with breakfast, prepared in the dark. This was the best footage I could do. Cherry and almond butter, overnight oats. I have been eating this same breakfast for about 2 years now, which I realize sounds really tragic. Far too many people make their nutrition far too complicated by trying to eat different stuff every day. If you think about it, how many people in the UK get up every morning, eat a bowl of cereal, have a sandwich and a packet of crisps at their desk at work for lunch, and they will repeat that every single day? Yet for some reason, when it comes to eating healthy, people feel like they've got to become Gordon frickin' Ramsay, creating different stuff every day.
How do you function like this?
I think if you find a meal you like, repeat it, which is exactly what I do with this. The secret to making them perfect: before I go to bed, I boil the kettle, pour that on my oats, let it soak in overnight, and they all fluff up, they go bigger in size, and they're a lot softer to eat. Before I head off to the gym, I will throw some frozen cherries in that bowl, let them have a little defrost, chuck some protein powder in when I get back. Might need a little extra dash of water to kind of take it to the right consistency, and then I pop almond butter on the top. Even though I'm not tracking and logging my food, I'm still weighing out things like fats that are particularly calorie dense and looking at recommended serving sizes on things. This is one of the biggest mistakes that people make. It's like they go so all or nothing with their tracking, either meticulously logging and weighing everything and consulting the app immediately, or they're not engaging with it whatsoever. And actually, for maintenance, we do have to look at things like recommended serving sizes, particularly on foods that are highly calorific, highly processed, high in salt and sugar. Like, it's just common flipping sense. So even though I'm not tracking, I am still using scales at points to help me be aware of certain portions. It's not like my bikini prep days, like if it goes a little bit over, I'm not like scraping it off and putting it back in the thing or any of that nonsense, but it gives me a ballpark idea that the serving size that I've got is appropriate for me. Moving on to lunch, that I actually normally eat around 11 a.m. I made the mistake for years of actually ending up eating more calories by waiting to eat my meals at conventional times. This is something that I tell a lot of clients to do. If you get hungry for your lunch earlier or your dinner earlier, because that is the natural rhythm of your body, and it is possible to have a meal, just have your meal. So often people will slam in a quick snack that might be 100, 200, 300 calories, and then an hour later still be hungry and eat the meal anyway. Sometimes if you just eat a proper meal, that hunger switches off. And as somebody that spent a humongous portion of her life thinking about food, I sometimes wonder what I could be if I hadn't always been thinking about my macros. My primary goal now is to switch that off. So for lunch this day, I had 2 slices of whole grain seeded toast. This is something that's different to what I used to do years ago. So years ago, I would be like, right, only 1 slice of bread. That was some weird rule that I had for myself because I was trying to keep calories down. And I would also always go for the lowest calorie bread. Whereas these days, I will pick things based on their fiber content, because fiber is the absolute game changer for women that are trying to step away from dieting, not always think about food, and maintain a leaner physique. People grossly oversimplify the calorie deficit.
You can eat whatever food you like as long as it fits within your calories and you're in a calorie deficit.
Kind of true, but kind of not. Because it's not just about calories that come in, it's actually about the number of calories you absorb. If you had two people eating the same number of calories and one of them was eating more fiber, they would be absorbing less calories. And then when we couple that with all of the other benefits of fiber, like greater sense of fullness, slower digestion, greater blood sugar regulation, aka fewer cravings, it becomes a lot easier to eat to your calorie requirements effortlessly if you're eating enough fiber. So I go for a seeded bread. This particular bread is giving me 3.5 grams of fiber per slice. So I've got 7 grams of fiber there just from the toast that I'm eating. Avocado contains a lot of healthy fats. I eat a lot of avocado. So this is really sad. This shows you how many avocados I've eaten. If it fits roughly into the palm of my hand and I eat half of that, I am looking at about 50 grams of avocado. I don't have to whip it on a scale. I don't have to get all pedantic about it. Tracking is a really useful tool to show you the calories that are in things, provided you pay attention to that. It's a bit like if you drive and you always follow the sat nav and you never actually look at the roads where you're going, you're never going to learn the route. So drawing visual representations like the size of your hand, is it one palmful, is it one finger length, whatever that visual representation is for you, start paying attention to that. That doesn't mean I only ever cap myself at half an avocado, by the way, but again, I know how it sits within my energy requirements without me having to track everything. I could call myself intuitive, but I actually called it educated eating. And a lot of the people that you see online in this great shape saying they just eat what they want when they want probably have a similar level of nutrition knowledge to me, or even if they're not qualified in nutrition, they've actually just got a really good idea of what works for them, how much they need, because they have spent a period of time monitoring calories. One thing I always have in the fridge is ready cooked chicken breasts. I do that at some point in the week when I'm doing something else around the house, and then they're always just there ready to go. So slicing them up, bit of avocado, bit of light mayonnaise. I ate this as an open sandwich because I'm a really fast eater. It slows down my eating. You could easily take this to work if you slapped it together and wrapped some foil around it. Afternoon snack time, a protein yogurt. I'm not as obsessed with protein as I once was, but I do appreciate that as a woman of my age, to maintain the muscle mass that I've got, to keep feeling good, to keep my hair looking good, skin, nails, there is a certain amount of protein that I need. So I thought I'd go for a protein yogurt, but I really like a few toppings. I always get like a bit of a sweet craving in the afternoon, and that is something that has happened to me despite the fact that I would say I'm pretty in tune with my appetite and my diet's good. That's just something about me that I've learned. Around about 3 o'clock I have a sweet craving, and I get so many messages and questions from clients asking, how do I stop the afternoon cravings? And sometimes it's dietary, like we look at balancing meals and things like, are you drinking enough water? We might look at techniques to manage stress, because sometimes, as we know, psychological issues can manifest themselves as physical cravings. It might be a desire to procrastinate. It might be the second you get a feeling of stress, you want to put something in your mouth. But sometimes it is just, that's what happens. So I like a little bit of chocolate in this, a few white chocolate chips and a little bit of honey. Again, not tracking it, but it really is no effort to sit that yogurt pot on top of the scale and just make sure I'm not going OTT on the chocolate. And once again, recommended serving sizes exist for a reason. You don't have to live by them. You can choose to have multiple of them. But if you just ignore them every time you stop tracking, that's probably why you regain weight every time you stop tracking. So on to dinner time is a chili, and I actually made this for dinner on the Monday night. I make a chili probably every week. There's nothing too fancy in here. All I do is 5% fat lean mince, onions, mushrooms, or whatever veg is kicking around, kidney beans straight out the tin, and then I actually use a jar of sauce, Aldi's chili sauce, by the way. I would recommend. It tastes very nice. When I look at food diaries of women that tell me I struggle to eat enough fiber, I can guarantee you there is an absence of fibrous carbs. There's not enough beans, there's not enough pulses, there's not enough lentils, there's not enough chickpeas, or even potato. I understand maybe at the start if you're a bit afraid of carbs, not wanting to wolf down plates of pasta and rice, right? But beans, pulses, grains are such a good place to start, and most people are not eating anywhere near enough of them. After dinner, I completely shoved this in my gob and forgot to take a picture of it, but here's a picture of it from another day, and that's just an apple, a little drizzle of honey, little drizzle of peanut butter. So after dinner, evening time, I'll be honest, I wasn't hugely hungry, but my boyfriend came home and he is an absolute nightmare for eating crisps, popcorn, like those really annoying guys that like eat everything but still look amazing. And it's effortless. He is one of them. So it's probably a good job I got my shit together around food now. I knew I'd eaten enough protein that day, so I wasn't too worried about having protein in this meal. But I just had a couple of Weetabix with a little bit of fruit on the top. Again, hadn't done food shopping, so I had to rely on my frozen fruit stash. I realise this looks absolutely rancid, by the way. I promise you it tastes good. Just a couple of Weetabix with a bit of fruit and some milk. I still use almond milk. I also use cow's milk now, unlike the days when I was competing and I would only have 13-calorie almond milk, but this is actually what I had in my fridge at the time. So that concludes a full day of eating. And as I said, I'm not tracking at the moment. But I reckon if I had to hazard a guess on that day, I reckon it sat somewhere between the 2,000 to 2,100 calorie mark. And in fact, after I have guessed this, I am going to, on reviewing the footage, recall that, and I'm going to pop that up here now so you guys can see. So this will be really embarrassing if that amount is wrong. This calorie amount is actually a tiny bit under my maintenance. I don't worry about going into a mild deficit in the week because I can guarantee you at some point across the week I will have a day that sits higher than that, especially at the weekend when I like to go out for brunch. I like to pop out for a spontaneous glass of rosé. I like to eat a bag of Maltesers on the sofa when I'm watching something on Netflix. This could have been a completely different day of food if I hadn't pre-cooked some chicken breast, if I hadn't set aside an extra portion of chili, and if I'd decided to join my boyfriend in his snack pile in the evening. Even though we're talking about maintenance, if the kind of body you want to maintain is lean, fit, and healthy, then you need to think of that as a way of living, not just something that you do when you're trying to drop a few pounds. The dog's died. So that's it for this one. Hopefully that was useful. If you did find it useful, please like and hit subscribe so I know to keep making more videos like this. Thank you all for watching, and I will catch you in the next video.